Hey, everybody. Thanks for being here. Welcome to the Wealth Tank Podcast, Passive Investing for Veterans. Our mission is to educate, inspire, and motivate you to reach your goals of wealth and freedom. I'm Tom Groves, and with me is my co-host, Noah Walton.
Thanks, Tom. Today's guest, really excited to introduce. He's an Air Force combat veteran, husband, father, nonprofit founder, a multifamily real estate investor, and he's a living example of success post-military. He's crushing it in this business of multifamily real estate, and he's also giving back to veterans and public servants through his nonprofit. We're honored to call him a friend and a brother. Welcome, Mr. Colby Bowers.
Yeah, no, thanks, Noel, Tom, J-Core team. It's an honor to be on here. Thanks for having me. So looking forward to partaking today.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're really excited to dig into your story and really show our listener, help them learn a little bit about what's possible. And I think it's pretty exciting. So to start us off, Colby, start us off with maybe 3-5 minutes. Just tell us your story. What made you you? How'd you get started as far as like your military career, the experiences you had there, and how that brought you to where you are now?
Yeah, sure. Just like everyone else, when I was in high school, had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. And I knew if I went to college right afterwards, I was either going to not complete it or just waste my parents' money at the time. So family history of joining the military. And I'm like, hey, this just makes sense. I'll go in, do my 4 years, figure out what I want to do in life, get out and then use my GI benefits to, get that education. And loved it so much that I finally got out 23 years later with a retirement and had a wild ride. Loved it, had a lot of unique experiences. Yes, I was the Air Force, and did a lot of the normal routine Air Force stuff, but being a medic, and especially with what I was doing, I was an independent duty med tech, it allowed me opened some doors and opportunities that I never would have had any other way. I said a bunch of deployments, 8 or 9 deployments. One of those was actually with Army and the Marines, and with specialized Air Force unit. I was never AFSOC, special operations, but I did jump out of airplanes and got paid to do it for 5 years. Not the most fun time or the smartest decision I ever made in my military career, because I think it's just bird shit and dumb people should be falling out of airplanes. And so I got a lot of unique experiences, that hands-on, some good, some bad, and during all this time, I always had an entrepreneurial mindset. I think a lot of it goes back to my parents. My dad owned his own business, and they were always, instilling in me growing up, is save, live within your means. And I carried over. And so when I was doing all these deployments after 9/11, instead of going out and buying the brand new cars and stuff like every other person in the unit was doing with their combat pay and tax-free, I still drove the same truck, and I started buying single-family homes. And awesome. That's what caught the bug. And, fast forward it, during my deployments, I was also injured a number of times around explosions and stuff, and ended up with a traumatic brain injury and some PTSD. And, obviously dealing with those struggles and challenges. And, so I retired, got the help I needed to become back to a member of society. Make a long story short, I walked with a cane. I couldn't bond with my son for a few years. It was very, very, very difficult. But in that time, I also was exposed to a number of veteran nonprofits. And so that's kind of where my passion and I know going into my why of what I'm doing today, that basically helped me get where I am through medical care, family support, whatever the case may be. That's kind of what guides me today. It's yes, everyone. I invest for the money. All right. If anyone says they don't invest or do what I do for something else, they're lying. All right. But that's not my end all be all. it is, that's obviously a part of it. I need to take care of my family, my investors, but it's also, what can I do with that money? How can I give back? How can I still be part of something bigger than myself, like the military? And so that's what guides me. And that's why I think my team and I, we've been so successful, because when we go into a deal, and we bring partners, I don't ask, well, what's my cut? Right? How do we get the mission done? How do we get the deal closed? And then, you know what? I'll pull my weight. You pay me what's fair. Let's just keep this fair. We'll figure it out as we get closer to closing. And so I think that mindset and stuff and drive is what from the military has carried over. And I just do what I do every day.
Yeah, that's great stuff.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Very nice. So yeah, I appreciate you. Yeah, that's really cool to see how, how you started getting into that while you were on active duty, started learning the ropes a little bit, and and kind of broke yourself free from that status quo, where as we've been there, done that. I think all three of us have been enlisted at one point. I was prior enlisted Air Force as well, and everybody's going out and buying the nice cars on high interest rate, and getting into massive debt, making bad decisions. Yeah, depreciating liabilities, and it's that financial education is really not common in the military, and that's one thing that we really hope to bring to the veteran that's listening. If they're not in that position, so. Yeah, it's great.
It's a great opportunity. I mean, so many opportunities out there for folks. And, Colby, I think it's really cool, because some people think, okay, the investing, it's for someone who's wealthy, who has millions of dollars, but that's not necessarily the case. You did 23 years, right?
Absolutely.
Is that right? Yeah. So it's just a great opportunity that the different things that you didn't just go into the routine, and through that process and everything that you've done, I've really, our kind of next question, everything kind of flows into this, what gets you motivated in the morning? Because it's very easy to become stale in life, especially after retiring and being done with the military. So many people have this idea that you got to get out and you get another government job, and maybe you'll retire when you're 60, 65 years old and collect 2 retirements and sail off into the sunset. But in the meantime, obviously that's not what you're doing, but what gets you motivated in the morning? And let's start there. What gets you motivated in the morning, and why do you keep on moving?
So my motivation is time that I get to spend with my family. And that is literally the sole reason I do what I do. It's yes, the money, but it's the money to buy me my time. I get up in the morning when I need to, not necessarily when I need to. So sometimes it's 5:30 in the morning because I'm dealing with deals on the East Coast. Sometimes, like last week, I slept until like 9 a.m. I get to have coffee with my wife in the morning, eat breakfast with the family. I get to work from home. So that's what motivates me. The other thing too is what I really love about this industry is no 2 deals are the same. So it is a fresh challenge and a new problem each time. So, I haven't felt in the 5 years I've really been doing this full time, I haven't felt stale, because there's, it's different markets, different people, different problems, different, whatever the case may be, keeps it very unique, and I'm constantly learning. So that's what I like about it. There's never a dull moment.
That's awesome. So, you enjoy that time with your family, and that's your motivating thing. That's awesome. So, kind of going to the next thing. What are you passionate about right now? What projects specifically, that you're really excited about right now?
Yeah. I got 2 of them really. I'll kind of talk one business side, but then on the personal side, a couple years ago, due to my injuries and stuff and dealing with nonprofits, my wife and I, we started a nonprofit of our own called the Paper Train Foundation. And really the premise of that is we're helping to fund research on earlier diagnosing of traumatic brain injury. There's a whole bunch of science behind it, but basically, an average active duty member goes 6 years without a proper diagnosis. And so there's a lot of lost time. So we can get those, and it's not just active duty, but it also has civilian implications as well, right? Because everyone has concussions, skiing accidents, vehicle accidents, whatever. Earlier diagnosis, you can actually have better outcome. When I was walking with a cane and I couldn't hold my son because I was afraid of falling. That didn't need to happen. If there was an earlier diagnosis and earlier treatment and stuff. So that's what we're really passionate about. And what was really cool is, I want to say it's during the middle of the pandemic, 2020. I think it was 2020. We took myself and 4 other wounded warriors and a couple first responders and an active duty Navy guy. And we summited Mount Kilimanjaro out in Tanzania, just as a, hey, you know what? We all of us as we're patients, we're all in the same cohort together in Denver. And basically it was just, we wanted to show other people and veterans specifically that, if you have these issues and struggles, you don't have to be locked on the couch. There is stuff out there. And guess what? If we can do it, and it was tri-service. We had Marines, Army, Air Force. We had all the services represented out there. We came together as brothers and sisters and support each other and made it. So that's the biggest thing I'm really passionate about, on the personal side. The other thing on the business side, what I'm passionate about and really my goal I'm working towards is my long-term goal is to put between 5 and 10% of my properties, my portfolio, into what's called HUD-VASH. And for folks out there that aren't familiar with that, is basically it's Section 8, but for military veterans. And it's military veterans that are on the verge of becoming homeless or homeless, but they have to be enrolled into the VA system, getting occupational health, substance abuse, whatever the case may be. Why are they homeless? They're in the system. The only thing they need is housing. We want to be able to provide that housing for them. And even if it's at a loss of capital or, profits to us, my team and I believe that much in it we want to do that. And we tell our investors, guess what? Here's what we're going to do. Yes, we're not maximizing returns on this, but this is what you're a part of. And they love it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. Love it. Yeah. So that's, really definitely aligns with our team's mission as well. As we really have a heart for the homeless, struggling veterans out there as well. So that's some really great information, and we'll have to talk more about that offline, but that's phenomenal. Very cool. So, and really, Colby, what out of all the things out there, different ways to make money, and all of that, as you were approaching retirement, what drove you, I guess, really what caused you to pursue the passive income investing strategy?
Yeah. I didn't start out that way. So when I retired, I took some time off, and I was into real estate, and I knew I wanted to get more into real estate, and especially the commercial side, but really didn't know how. And I'm sure we'll breaking it out a little bit more later. But I got a corporate job. I worked for a Fortune 500 company. They took my medical, I had a W-2, right? And I made it about 10 months in that job. And what I realized very quickly is that civilian mindset is way different than the military.
True.
I had 14 employees as a director of a facility, medical facility, small one. And it was 10 times harder than when I was overseeing 120 troops as a squadron superintendent. I was just like, it was just mind-boggling, the difference. And from 20-year-olds to 50-year-olds, it was like high school. So it was very unique and challenging. So I got burned out really quick. I'm like, this is BS. I don't want to do this. This sucks. Didn't really get along too well with my supervisors. None of them were veterans. They didn't really understand my sense of humor, or my work ethic of, they wanted me to be nicer, gentler, hugs, not shrugs or something, whatever. And so I was just like, yeah, this is, it sucked. I was just like, this is crap. I don't want to do this anymore. I had a talk with the wife and said, F it. Let's just make this jump. Let's jump into
move on.
Family. And there were some things I'd lined up prior to that, but made the jump and didn't look back.
That's great. Yeah. And that's, I can attest to that. That's a huge jump, as you're being 1 year since retirement now for me. It was, it's very, very intimidating, because you've known the military essentially your whole adult life. And now what do you do? Like, of course, most people choose like the easy route and go the corporate, because that to a lot of folks, that looks like success, like when they attach their name to a successful company, right? But for a lot of folks like us, we realized that we don't fit that mold. We don't do well in a cubicle farm. That's not us. We want to do something more with our lives than make somebody else rich, right? So if someone else, for our listener out there who is thinking that same route, what would be your advice if they're soon approaching transition, or already have transition? What advice would you have for them?
Yeah, very good question. Is a couple things, or really three things that I advise everyone I come across, any veteran that's either transitioning, retiring, whatever the case may be, is talk to folks that have already done it. Lessons learned. And that's what really helped me. So one of the things too, and I always tell everybody, if you have the ability and you can, when you retire or separate, try to take some time off, 30 days, 2 weeks, whatever it is, you've earned it, right? Just take that time. I see a lot of folks that they're like, one day they're wearing a uniform or they're on terminal leave, and then the next day they're, because I want to double dip. That's great, but realize mental health and what you're getting into on the civilian side will sap your energy. So take that time if you can. The other important one that I tell them is, listen, have a plan. You need a financial plan, right? This isn't like the military. You're not on a contract. If you're in the civilian world, guess what? You can be laid off at any time for any reason. So you need to have that financial support and that plan to be able to support you and the family while you're either finding another job or what case. We hope it never happens, but it's the civilian world. They play by a different game.
Yeah, that's good stuff. That's great advice. Absolutely. So, Tom, I'll let you take the next.
Yeah. So we talked about, we've covered so much, and you're giving such great information, but you're excited about different projects that you're doing and getting the word out and sharing with people. Just one thing, if you could have a billboard, if you had a voice that reached millions and billions of people, with any message that you could put on it, what is something that you would share with folks? What's something that you truly believe in your heart that's really helpful and beneficial to others?
Oh, invest with me and my team. We're the best. Just kidding.
Hey, that's funny. Our billboard said the same thing.
Right?
Yeah.
Promotion, right? No.
That's right.
There's a quote that I found a few years ago that was has a huge impact on me. And I think it rings 100% true. Henry Ford. The quote is, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are correct. And life is a mindset, right? We know that mindset in the military was there. So I think that was an easy transition. But it goes back to, is if you want to do anything, especially if you want to become an entrepreneur, if you ever go into anything and be like, yeah, I don't think I can do that. Well, guess what? You're going to fail.
You're right.
So you got to say yes, figure it out, and keep that positive mindset. Are you going to fail? 100%. But my other thing is, fail early and fail often, because you're going to learn more from your failures than you are from your successes.
Yep. No, you just mentioned a really cool thing. You're talking about learning through failure. Is there a quote unquote failure or lesson learned, as we like to call it? Is there a lesson learned where you said, hey, this is something where I've learned a huge lesson that I would love to share with people? You know, oftentimes you'll see people say, hey, I failed, and how do I know? Ask me how I know. So I'm asking you, what could you share with someone that something that would be really beneficial, some, you know, crazy experience that you had?
Man, you know, the list goes on. I mean, I was fleeced of $20,000, lost deals, lost money. I will say though, out of all that, I think the one failure I had, that it was a big surprise, but it was a mindset shift. Is I had never raised money for a deal, and this was early in when I started this. And somebody said, "Hey, Colby, we got this deal. We want to bring you in. We love working. You know, we love talking with you. Your energy and everything. We want to bring you in, help raise some capital." And I'm like, I've never done this before. So I jumped in with both feet and said, hey, I'm going to do this. And I raised it like over 3 months. I raised $0. And previous to this, I had been going to conferences and networking and stuff, and I had soft commits, right? I talked to people, hey, here's the criteria. If I find this deal and it meets these parameters, you know, would this be something you would be interested in? And if so, how much? And so I had a couple $1 million of people in my Rolodex that, and this deal fit a lot of those checklists. And what I realized is there's a lot of talk out there. And so, yeah, I'll invest in those deals all day long. No, they won't. So you got to put in the work. You had to have the experience. And it was humbling because I had to go back hat in hand and be like, guys, I mean, I gave it my best. I've been on the phone, blah, 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 and I couldn't do this. And what was really cool about it is they're like, that's all right. You tried. We appreciate it. And guess what? I've done deals with them in the future, right? Or beyond that, because I was upfront and honest too. I said, hey, I've never done this. I'm going to try for this amount. And I was only going to try to raise like $250,000, which, yes, that's a lot of money, especially starting out. But as you guys know, that's not a lot of money. And then to hit zero, that was the kick in the gut where I'm like, oh shit, am I really cut out for this?
Yeah, no, it's true. And that's awesome, man. And I think it's, you know, it's awesome being vulnerable and saying, hey, I think it's so important what you said is being honest and upfront, saying, hey, I'm going to try to do this. I have not been successful doing it, and sharing that with people. It shows growth, and it shows, you know, what, you know, who you are.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Because a lot of people can think that, hey, there's these huge successes. People are hugely successful. They've raised millions of dollars. But how many no's and how many frustrations did they pass through in the meantime?
Yeah.
But continuing to get up and move and move and move and push forward. So awesome.
And that's a huge part about you know, the mindset of supposed failure, right? Is you know, people think, oh, I failed, I'm not cut out for this. Like you said, you probably had a few of those self-doubt thoughts, but you didn't let it take over. You know, you didn't say, oh, well, I'm just going to throw in the towel and go back to work for a corporate job because I'm not cut out for this, right? You're like, I'm going to figure this out. And you dug in and just drilled deeper and figured out how to get past it, how to get better. And that's what it's all about.
And it goes back to the mindset. You know, I took it on as a challenge. Okay, that's not a failure. Obviously I did it first. I licked my wounds, probably had a couple beers, whatever the case may be. But then it's like, okay, what can I do different now? My goal is I just need one investor. That's a success. Next time I do this, just one yes. I just need one yes and one check. And then we'll go from there. So, but yeah, you change that mindset.
Yeah, it's totally it. That's the key to success. And like Tom was just saying, it's people see the face value, what people see as, oh, it's an overnight success. This person is just killing it. Oh, they're so talented. But they're not seeing all the late nights, the failures, the grind, everything that goes with that, you know, everything that person had to push through to achieve what looks like an overnight success. So that's great. All right. So, a couple more questions here before we go. What's one of the best, or I say the most worthwhile investment that you've ever made? Could be monetary, time, energy. What would you say?
Investing in myself, hands down. When I started this, I tried to self-learn, self-taught. Like when I started out in residential side, self-taught, hard knocks. When I wanted to break into the commercial side, the multifamily side, right? There's extra commas with those dollar amounts and stuff. And
a lot of extra zeros.
A lot of extra zeros. So a lot of extra stress, starting out. For probably a good year to 18 months, like I just crammed a bunch of podcast interviews, books, whatever I could find. And I couldn't find all the answers. So what I finally did, I'm like, you know what? I'm just pulling. I went to a conference, paid a couple $100 for a conference, had to fly to another state. That was a huge commitment. And then what I did is what I don't necessarily advise, but it worked. I jumped in and I maxed out my credit card and bought a coaching program. Actually, let me clarify. I didn't have enough credit on my credit card to buy. I had to pay installments to get this coaching program. It was something like $20,000. So not cheap, right? And it's, but it's, I invested in myself and it was the best choice. So I went within 12 months of buying that coaching and investing in myself, having a mentor / coach. I went from 0 multifamily to a little over 12 months later, I had 500 doors.
Yeah, that's great.
As a limited partner, general partner, I tried to raise that money in that time frame. I put myself out there. So I would not be where I am today if I had not invested in myself. And I still to this day continue. I still go to conferences, networking events, whatever I can do to get the latest and stay on top of what's going on and constantly.
Yeah. That's it. Continual improvement. That's what it's all about awesome. in life and in business. So good stuff. All right. Last question I got for you, Colby. In the last, say, 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit have you adopted that has most improved your life?
Who, not how. There's a book, I forget the author.
Great book.
But I realized early, this couple of things, because when you get into doing like what we're doing, right? We're doing the syndication, we're behind the scenes, sourcing the deals. You're a jack of all trades and really a master of none. And it's a team effort. You can't do this all by yourself, or you will get burned out and you will fail. And you'll be working a W-2 very quickly. So after trying to do that is now, if if I find myself procrastinating on doing something, whether it's writing an email or it's writing a mailer to go out to cold calling investors or property owners, writing an ebook, things of that nature. If I'm procrastinating, like I get the nuts and the bolts, I'm like, I realize that is not me being lazy. It's just me not knowing what I need to be doing. And so when I hit that point, I hired out Upwork, Fiverr, a VA. Mm-hmm. I find somebody that can do this for me. And I wrote a guide. It took me 8 months, and I was doing this whole procrastination. Well, 3 weeks later, I hired a copywriter, spent a couple $100, not a lot less than I thought. And less than a month later, they produced, take all what I had written and made it into something that makes me look smart. That's cool. And I'm like, why didn't I do this 7 months ago? Now I look at it as like, dumbass, you're 7 months behind. Now I'm playing catch. I feel like I'm playing catch up, but just outsource, get somebody else to do it for you, or you're going to become stagnant and you're going to start spinning your wheels.
Love it. Yeah. Find and hire the professionals or the experts in those particular fields. That's a really great advice.
Yeah, not pretending or acting like we're the smartest ones in the room, But that is a great book, Colby, Who Not How. And it's a great lesson for us listening. And for you who are listening, take advantage, take these nuggets of wisdom that Colby shared and everything else. There's a lot of great wisdom today. It's been a great conversation, but Colby, as we wrap this up, how can, if you have a listener out there and they're loving, they loved what you said, and they want to contact you, how can they contact you and get involved with you and what you're doing for a mission?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the easiest way is is go check us out. Do some due diligence on us. Reach on that. So our website, www.sentinelequitygroup.com. Kind of check us out. We're in the process of updating it for the new year. There's a place in there you can reach out to us. Another place too is social media. So I'm on I'm on Instagram. Colby_Bowers AF. It's not for Air Force. It just lucked out. That's what Instagram gave me. But find me there and follow, giving nuggets of information. We're getting ready to release a 10-step guide to passive income. That'll be available on our website and through the social media. So, keep on a lookout for that. And it's a free download, and it's something like 40 pages. It's a bit of a read. You'll see it. I need to send it over to you guys to take a look. I think Jake, you guys would love it, but it's actually information. It's not a sales pitch. It's just, here's what you need to do. And if you want to invest passively in real estate, this will get you started and to go from there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, great.
Well, thanks for sharing that. I know we're going to share these links and everything in the show notes. So if you have any questions, please hit those links if you want to reach out to Colby. And again, thank you so much for taking your time to listen to the Wealth Tank podcast. To learn more about investing in multifamily as well, if you want to learn more about Jaycore, download our free passive investing guide at our website, jaycoreinvestments.com. And be sure to follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. We'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to get your feedback.
And if you're ready to take the lead with us, join our Jaycore Investor Club. It's absolutely free, and we will personally connect with you and determine if you're qualified to invest and if we're a good fit. So all these details will be in the show notes, as Tom mentioned. And if you found value from this podcast, please leave us a 5-star rating and review and share with a friend. Until next time, go Army, beat Navy.
Lame.
Aim high.
And aim high. Yep.
That's right.